Welcome back, everyone, to your weekly installment of the Top 10, the hottest selling cards in Magic the Gathering this week from February 26th till March 1st of 2024. There's a pile of new entries coming into the market, and it's a direct cause and effect from Modern Horizons 3. FOMO is just horrible. Let's get it started. You just had to know what the hottest selling cards were. You came back, you're hanging out with your host MTGNEWS, and a reminder, if you enjoyed today's content, if you want to see more of the Mox Man, you just got to hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. And of course, if you're shopping for any of the amazing cards you see in today's video, don't forget to use my TCG Player affiliate link. It helps support the channel, get prizes and stuff going. Thanks again, everyone, for considering my channel, but let's start out here at number 10. Number 10 is coming to us from March of the Machine. This is Vorinclex. This thing's totally crashed down in price. It's not a very expensive card, yet it still had 2,100 sales this week. Now, when you look at what this card can do, the actual creature type it is, getting the 2 lands put into your hand right away, this card's pretty great in most of its, basic functions. And of course, don't forget it's a Saga card. You can flip this bad boy over, and in a green mana ramp deck, it makes perfect sense. I'm a little surprised to see the sales kind of mounting up here, but it's not the only card in the Praetor collection that seems to be seeing an increase in price. It is the only one on the list this week, and it is one of the least expensive cards. But either way, it's kind of fascinating to see which cards get popular, as well as which cards players think they might want to speculate on to make money off later. It's kind of one of those little, tug of war type battles. Now, our number 9 card was actually in this position last week, holding the number 9 spot. So really, the Roaming Throne is staying exactly where it is. But the price has come down. In terms of the overall sales volume, you can see only $74,208, which of course we know is still a tremendous amount of money. But 2,319 sales is a far cry from what we saw the week before, and the price is at $32 average. That's kind of crazy to think this card has jumped up that much, but of course the Roaming Throne is an interesting card. With its ward ability, its copying ability, this thing still has a lot of legs on it. Get it? A lot of legs. But it has a while to go. We don't know what we're going to see connecting with sets like from Bloomburrow, Modern Horizons 3, Duskmourn, or even Thunder Junction. So I can see why players might be hedging their bets that this is a really important key card for later. So I can see why the sales are staying fairly consistent. All right, guys, we're going to go over now and take a look at our next card. This one is something I'm not really surprised to see. And this is Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth. All right. Now, Yavimaya, of course, is one of the lands I've been talking about because with Modern Horizon 3 coming, FOMO kind of kicks in and players start realizing maybe they should pick this card up. And of course, overall, it's been kind of going up in value for the last several weeks, slowly gaining a little bit of steam. 2,540 sales. That's $34,493.20 in sales volume from a card that really hasn't seen action for a long time. But for a while, you could get this card for $8 US. So players have already probably made some money on this by buying at $8 and selling at the $13 mark. As FOMO increases, somebody's going to get rich off this card, if not several people. Not much you can do about it if you didn't already buy the copies when they were cheap, so something to keep an eye on, but we're not done there yet. Another Modern Horizon 3 card is kind of coming around. You'll see what I'm talking about, because when you start talking Modern Horizons 3, people start thinking about them pesky squirrels. And we're thinking about the squirrels. Who cannot forget Toski, the bearer of secrets here. All right, guys, this thing's number 7. 2,592 sales, or $24,105.60 in total sales volume. An average price of $9.30. Let's not forget what this thing is. It's a nasty squirrel. It's a squirrel. Squirrel! This thing is uncounterable. It is indestructible. Yeah, it's got to attack all the time, but whenever a creature you control deals combat damage, you draw a card. And in a massive squirrel culmination armada, Starfleet command style of squirrels coming at you, there's not much you can do about it, guys. The squirrel army will not be denied, and Toski's going to lead the way. I mean, he's a legendary creature. I hope you guys got your Deranged Hermit, because tomorrow's top 10 of the reserve list is going to be insane. Yeah, you guessed it. That Deranged Hermit went it went crazy, all right? Either way, let's go ahead now. Let's stop looking at Toski, and let's move our way over, because now we have to take a look at the number 6 card. All right, guys? Kind of an interesting one to kind of take on track again, but number 6 is coming again from, of course, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Tamiyo Safekeeping. This thing was on the list about a month ago. Sales went really high for a little bit and it drifted right down. This thing has 2,740 sales. $1.32 per copy means the overall sales volume is minuscule. $3,616.80. This is a very low sales volume card in terms of dollar value, but that's a very high amount that have sold. So obviously players are hedging their bets that we're not going to see this card for a while and that it's going to drift up in value, or players completing off play sets they need or getting cards for Commander. Either way, you can notice the sales volumes here on the channel. That's why people watch, so they kind of know what's going on out there. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our next card. Guys, we're dropping down again and we're going in, taking a look at the Pick Lock Prankster. Guys, I have never played with this card. I know it's from Wilds of Eldraine. 2,876 sales. It's a 46-cent card. $1,322 in sales volume. Next to nothing. But when you look at the card, Flying Vigilance, okay, 2 casting cost, but it has Free the Fae for 1 blue, 1 other. Mill 4 cards, then put an instant, sorcery, or fairy card from among the milled cards into your hand. So this may be a card people think is going to connect in Modern Horizons 3, but there are also other reasons to mill cards into your own graveyard. Never, ever forget the utilitarian purpose of certain commons and uncommons that Wizards of the Coast has created. If you do, if you just forget these cards exist, that 46-cent card could become a $4 card, a $5 card, and then you're like, why didn't I buy any? All right, guys, let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the number 5 card, and this is the Preacher of Schism, the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Number 4 card. My bad. Look at this. I'm not even looking at the old screen as I'm doing it. 3,101 sales for the number 4 card. 13,644 sales overall. This Vampire Cleric, I have faced against it at local night standard. I've seen it in a few Commander decks already that I've played against, and of course I've seen it on Arena as well. So it's having a well-rounded use. It's getting a lot of gameplay, and that probably, is going to explain why we're still seeing strong sales. Players recognize the value of cards like this. $4.40 is pretty inexpensive for a player trying to get it and trying to build a deck, especially Vampire Tribal decks. So, guys, you can't really knock anybody for picking up at that point. I thought I'd rather go after some reserve list cards myself, but if I was building a Vampire deck, this guy would be added in. If I was building a standard deck using black, yeah, there's a good chance I might be adding cards like this in as well. Let's go ahead now and drop over, because we're down to our final 3 cards. Can you believe our time is already almost over? We're down to the final 3. First off here, we got the Undercity Sewers, and that's the Mirza Karlov Manor. This thing is seeing a lot of sales. Last week it didn't even make the list. It was kind of on my honorable mention section, but this week it kind of goes right back in there. It's had a little dip in a price, and of course a few more sales. 3,375 sales, or $34,593.75 US in overall sales action for near mint copies. Now, these Surveil lands, they are going to go further than people realize. These cards, and I've used a lot of them already, there's lots of reasons to have these cards and to put cards in your graveyard. Not only are you getting a card you might want to use later in your graveyard, at the same time, it might be a piece of junk that you can get out of the way. Amazing card, okay? I don't know if the values are going to hold, but I love using these cards right now. I'm lucky I opened a couple during that pre-release weekend. Now, the number 2 card is Archdruid's Charm. I have seen this thing go against me a few times, and let's discuss this. 3,815 sales. That's $30,147.18. The average price is $8.02, but that choose one. Search your library for a creature or land card, reveal it, put it on the battlefield tapped. Already kind of disgusting. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. It deals damage equal to its power to a target creature you don't control, or you can exile a target artifact or enchantment. This is just a nutty card for a really, yes, you're going to use it on a heavily green slanted deck, but wow, there's a lot of potential here, especially for future use later on. So kudos, I can see why people are using it, and I'm glad to see that I actually have a copy of this, and I have been playing with it, and I do pretty well. It's a nice card to have. I don't have 4 though, but I have 1. Now, you've waited long enough. Let's go to number 1, and this one should not come as a surprise if you follow anything. All right, guys, Vein Ripper. Totally crazy. Mirza Karlov Manor. This thing went number 1, I know. And you guys all know why. It had a really good showing at the tournament. 4,759 sales. Lower than I thought, but that's because of the price tag. $27.04. A whole bunch of websites sold out. This thing's on a whole whack load of wish lists. And the price may end up going higher in the long run just because a lot of MERS at Karlov Manor is not going to be opened right now. It may become an arbitrage situation later, but not now. That's $123,275.36 in overall sales volume for the Ripper, guys. An amazing card to see make it this high up, especially considering the casting cost of this card. It really came as a bit of a surprise until I saw the showing, started researching and looking around, and you get an understanding of why these things play off this way. Long-term value, I really don't see it. I think this thing's going to drift down over the long run, but I could be wrong. You never know. The Moxman's not infallible. Now let's get to the wrap up here of the video. It has been a very interesting week in the market space for Magic the Gathering and MTG Finance in general. The last several weeks, we've had a lot of up and down on the market. High sales, low sales, high sales, low sales, kind of going up and down very irregularly compared to the last couple of years we've had with just overall low sales volumes. It seems like the market's almost fighting against itself to determine which cards have what value, and there's speculators now starting to show up inside that market space, picking up individual cards that they are speculating will go up in value later on. It kind of explains some of the sales we've seen. Add in the fact the Modern Horizon 3 pricing whole thing video, you guys saw that yesterday on my channel. When you add that in there, and the fact the fear of missing out always takes an effect. Things like Toski showing up, Yavimaya Cradle of Growth, I wouldn't have expected those yet this far out from Modern Horizons 3, but I know some of you guys asked these questions. We've discussed on some of the live streams, and of course I've answered the emails and Discord messages to the best of my ability to give you guys a rundown of what I actually know, especially for my patrons who asked. I gave you the data you requested, so you're good to go. So as we end off the video, I want you guys to keep in mind that the overall sales are still up and down. They're not really making a lot of sense as the market tries to find the value of cards, to find out where this cardboard is going, which card you should be backing, versus the fear of reprints coming around. We don't know what Wizards of the Coast is going to do, and Modern Horizon 3 pricing proves it right there. That Wizards doesn't know what they're going to do as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, tinfoil hat style, I know. Either way, thanks again for coming out. Thanks for hanging out with me on the channel today. And of course, don't forget the reserve list top 10 tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun because players who are not buying these cards are buying reserve list cards, and it is starting to show up in the data. So thanks again, guys, for coming out. Don't forget to bring a friend to Magic, and I will see you guys tomorrow with another video, and of course the live stream, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. Thanks again, guys. To all of the wonderful patrons I have supporting my channel and supporting the work I do here on YouTube, I want to send this shout out and this thank you to each and every one of the patrons, as well as all the amazing YouTube membership members I have. No matter how you support the Moxman, it really does show, and I appreciate it every day. Thanks again, everyone. Welcome back. I knew you were coming. You didn't need to ring the doorbell. You don't need to take your shoes off. You get to walk right in here and hang out with me, man. That's the way we roll at my house. That's why they're hardwood floors. You can just clean that stuff later. Don't worry about it. It's all good. I got dog hair everywhere. I have animals. All right, so let's get this down. You have stuck around this long to make it to the Ramble Jamble. And I got to tell you guys a few bits of information. Number one, the Modern Horizon 3 pricing is pretty good. It's really made a lot of noise, which is very interesting to see how people go up and down. The FOMO stuff is just starting to kick in. I didn't notice until later that Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, started having quite a lot of sales too. The Vein Ripper had more sales later on that I couldn't calculate because I couldn't confirm the sales. And there's well, not even a few. There's a couple of secret layers, like some individual cards starting to sell, like command towers of different artwork. There's a whole bunch of cards that I would have added to like an honorable mention if I had seen the sales were high enough. I didn't check that out. It was brought to my attention by one of my actual real life friends. It was like, you haven't been paying attention to this? And I keep telling them you only have so many hours, right? Only so many hours in the day. But either way, it was very interesting to see how players are spending their money. I've also noticed an uptick in old school buying of cards. I will discuss it in the reserve list Ramble Jamble. Hopefully I get enough of the information by then when the emails are out. So hopefully I get some data together. I don't know if that's going to be happening right away on Sunday or if it has to wait till the live stream or even Monday. But either way, keep an eye out for it because I am paying attention to it. Thanks again, guys. Thanks for being here, man. I almost want to like... I don't know why I'm doing this. It just feels good. See you guys tomorrow.